Bear with me as I go through some of the basic housekeeping. Welcome to PPOC, Professional Photographers of Orange County. We're based in Orange County, California. Tonight I can see we've got people coming in from Colorado, Idaho. I think we've actually got a couple of people overseas. So thank you for setting your schedules, time zones, and making room to come and hang out with us. Professional Photographers of Orange County is a group of dedicated photographers, and we are tasked with helping people become better at the art of photography and teaching tried and true proven foundations for those of you who wish to build sustainable businesses. Personally, it's helped me go from a retired IT person to being able to run a sustainable and life-providing photography studio. I couldn't have done it without organizations like this. PPOC is led by an amazing board of directors, the team that helps me out, including Mr. Tim Mathieson, John Aranis, Brandy Constantino, and myself. We love the work that we put into making these events happen. With that being said, if you'd like to know more about PPOC, would like to get more involved with us, we would love to talk with you. Feel free to drop me a note in the chat, and I'll be happy to follow up because God knows the more hands on deck, the better programming we can put together for you and everybody else out there. So, tonight we happen to have an online event. We would also like to invite you to come out and join us for other events like tonight, a live in-person event such as our Saturday hands-on workshop. If you like what's being said this evening, we're going to spend a full day learning how to use different AI generative engines. We do host different workshops every month along with monthly photo walks. So please check out ppOC.org for more of the upcoming events and membership. Coming up over the next few months, in October, we are looking at shooting the moon with Amital Swell, who's based in San Diego, California, and travels the world plotting and planning iconic full moon photographs. And that turns into amazing expeditions. Stephen, you know Amital, go ahead.
Oh yeah, she's great. She and Lois both run the International Photography Exhibition, so the largest in the country. So no, she's great. You guys are gonna have a lot of fun.
So looking forward to that as we put together the final details. Coming up in September, I think I saw Mr. Mikey Collins sneak in. He's going to be coming out from Idaho to teach us about the magic of Christmas portraits, the magic of Photoshop. We wanted to do something a little bit different and unique. You probably know Mikey from West Coast School. He teaches all over the country for different PPA events. We get to have him online one evening and then here in person to teach us hands-on the tricks and techniques behind Photoshop, and we want to do it with a purpose. With Christmas coming up in December, we figured that would be a great subject, a fun subject to talk about. And then, moving into John Aranis' favorite world, we have image competition number 3. Right now, it's a close race within Orange County as to who's going to be the best photographer of Orange County. Still time to enter and compete. Put your best work together, drop it in, and get some professional reviews. And moving on to tonight, we have the incomparable and amazing Stephen Burns, full-time educator, Adobe certified instructor, professional photographer, and fine artist using generative techniques to inspire and create unique fine art creations and directions. Stephen has been most recently featured at the Comic-Con San Diego, hosting live panels including Success in Creativity, Managing Your Resources, as well as Creative Journey into the Unreal Engine and Blender 3D. As we get started, I am sure we're going to be talking about all different aspects of AI and Photoshop. With that being said, this is your time that you're spending with us this evening. We would love to hear your questions. To do so, please use the heart button at the bottom of your Zoom window to raise your hand so we know to call on you, or feel free to put your question into the chat window. I will read your question as best I can or call on you to ask you to state your question out loud so we can get your feedback as the evening goes on. So with that, I would like to introduce you to Mr. Stephen Burns, aka Captain. You have the con, please take over.
All right. Thank you very much. I love that introduction. All right. We got a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. We're going to have a little bit of a teaser inspiration tonight, and then on Saturday, I have a full day with you. We get to go real deep. We get to get really involved in this whole concept of being creative in this new AI world. And the AI is basically taking the entire creative industry by storm. I'm involved in it's a exhibition coming up, and I'll talk more about that. I'm assuming we're going to have a break, an hour and a break in between. Dwayne, is that true?
As soon as I hear you to start stuttering, or I see you giving me the red light signal that we need to abort this ship, we will call for a 5-minute station identification.
All right. So I'm also involved in another talk on AI. And I suppose what I can do is I'll send this information to Dwayne, and Dwayne will sending out directly to the entire group. It's called I Am AI. Basically, I have the card here in front of me. I'm not sure if my camera is going to allow you to see it, but I Am AI. You can't really see the card very well because of the green screening technology, but that's put it near my face. I'll send this information out to Dwayne. He'll get that on out to you, and it's going to be a talk, a Zoom talk on AI, but it's also going to be an in-person exhibition at the Escondido Arts Partnership. I will be submitting a brand new piece, and I'm going to talk about, you know what, I might decide to share that piece with you tonight. If I do share that new piece with you tonight, you guys will be the first to see it.
That would be awesome, and we get to then boast that we got a sneak peek to what's coming tomorrow.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, now, Chromevolution.com, what you're looking at is my website here. And come here, check it out. Go to the galleries, go to the books and DVDs. I'm going to go over this with you right now, but just want you to be aware of that. I'm going to take the link, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put it into the chat box for your convenience so you guys can go there and check it out on your own time or during this presentation, your choice. And then what I want to do is I want to start by sharing with you who I am, why I'm here, and my background in this whole creative process. I am the president of the San Diego Photoshop Users Group. We've been around a very long time. We have about 5,000 members. And it's changed over the years, especially with the influx of AI, the excitement of AI, and also the fear of AI. Let me go to share with you a little bit more who I am. Now, I'm an author also. I've written 8 books and been involved with 2 others. I'm going to show you the books here. This is the very first one I've written, Photoshop CS Trickery and Effects. This was by, let's see, this is Charles River Media at the time. It's changed, company that's changed names since then, but basically this is published internationally. And the purpose of the book was to show you how to be an artist with Photoshop. So every chapter from beginning to end is a complete tutorial on how to create something that's very, very artistic and very, very cool. The books actually were very, very popular. The next one was called Photoshop CS Trickery and Effects. And this was by, again, Charles River Media. And this is basically continuing the concept of being creative in Photoshop, but with all complete different tutorials. In the cover of the book, it shows you one of the tutorials that you actually create inside the book. You're going to look at this and you're probably going to think to yourself, oh gosh, that kind of looks like AI. This is way before AI existed. I was doing this stuff way before AI. And we're going to be talking about AI. We're going to talk about how I use AI. And I'm going to suggest how I think you should use AI. So we got a lot to discuss. My third book was called Advanced Photoshop CS3 Trickery and Effects, again by Charles River Media. And they're all like 400-page books, nice little, but all, color graphical tutorials on how, this is another example of what you would create, one of the tutorials you would create inside the book. Using a lot of painting techniques, using a lot of compositing techniques, using techniques that initially have photographic imagery involved. I take that photographic imagery and create something different using a variety of traditions. CS4, Trickery and Effects. And this is where I start to introduce 3D in the workflow, more digital painting, more photography. Um, my mind is focused on creating something unique. Right? Is I think it's important that a creative utilizes the tools that represents their day and their time, to be expressive creatively. And these are my tools: photography, the computer, Photoshop. And this is way back in the day where computers were still starting to break that barrier in terms of becoming real-time workflow. CS5 trick and effects. This is by Cengage Technology, another 400-page book. This is another example of more something one of the tutorials that you would create. And CS3 is when 3D was introduced. CS5 is starting to develop more, and I'm starting to explore what can be done with these tools. So the person, Stephen Burns, who's speaking to you now, is more than just a photographer. I started with drawing and painting at Palomar College. I decided to take a photography class. It was a introduction to color slide class. Basically, it taught you everything that if there was you needed to know about a camera. What was an aperture? What was a shutter speed? How do they work together? What do those neat little dials on those cameras do for you? And when I took that class, I decided to take a black and white. It was called Photo 101. Actually, called Photo 101, where we learned how to develop our own film and get into the dark room. And then one year, I decided to see it Ansel Adams exhibition. And let me come back to that thought in just a minute. 3D Photoshop. This is, again, 3D is starting to become introduced more into the market. So I proposed a book to Focal Press. You can see the logo down here. Focal Press is a major publisher. And that was like a 350 to 400-page book, along the same lines, concepts of the other books. And then, of course, Photoshop World, Photoshop User Magazine asked me to do the front cover. I think this was back in, I can't remember when this was done. I think this is 2003 or somewhere around there. I couldn't find the high-res image of the cover, so I apologize for a little bit of the blurriness. But so that's the cover I had scanned. And of course, I did a book on 3D again, started becoming introduced more stronger into the market, which we're starting to see now even in AI. So this was closer to a 450-page book, and this was also produced by, I think this was Cengage Publishing as well. Okay, Adobe put out a new book. This is by Focal Press, was the publisher. Zorana G, Pete Falco was they were the ones that headed up the writing of the book, but the contributing artist was myself, Bert Monroy, Corey Barker, and Russell Brown.
God, you're keeping some pretty amazing company there.
Yeah. Focal Press is I did two. This would be the first book I did with Focal Press. The second book I did with Focal Press was, where was it? Where are you? That one, right there. That's the new logo. That was the second book I did with Focal Press. This one, I was a contributing author along with the others, and the other one was my own book. All right, so we're done with that. Now let me just share with you DVDs I work with, just that's so that you can get a better idea as to what I do. So Photoshop Cafe, most of you probably know Colin Smith. I was one of his authors, and this is DVDs I produced for him. And I did about 5 DVDs for them. Again, this whole thing of photography and introduction of 3D, learning to blend them all together so that we can produce some educational content for those creatives who want to do something more with their photography. All right, so starting with photographic imagery, blending it with 3D content to create something different. Okay, so all right, Let me show you my photography, then I'm going to show you the fine art. Um, let's just go through photography very quickly. So I teach these workshops. I've been doing it for decades, and they're the Death Valley workshops, Eastern Sierra workshops, Yosemite master classes, and I'm inspired by the master painters. I'm inspired, and all just to share with you guys, all this is all it's all going to make sense because we're going to talk about style. Okay, style doesn't come from AI. I want to make that really clear. Does not come from AI. Style comes from a human. And I was influenced, my style was influenced by the master painters, particularly the American abstractionist movement, Jackson Pollock, all of that, the surrealistic movement. One of my photographers, Brett, is one of my favorite photographers, was Brett Weston. As much as I loved Ansel Adams, who was my original influence for becoming a photographer, in fact, how I became a photographer was when I was doing drawing and painting. I started talking about that earlier. My girlfriend and I at the time was in Yosemite camping. We decided to segue over to San Francisco, and because we've never been to San Francisco. So at the De Young Museum, just so happens we were just passing by, and it happens to be an Ansel Adams exhibit. Well, at this time, I'm taking a black and white class called Photography Photo 101. And Photo 101, we're using the medium format cameras, the old Yashica twin lens reflex cameras. So I went in, saw the exhibition of Ansel Adams, and I stood there and I was floored because there were these giant mural-sized black and white prints, pristine, luminous, incredible detail. And I sat there wondering, how in the world is this stuff so masterful and my stuff sucks so bad? And I was inspired to learn exactly what he was doing that made his work masterful. So I took every single photo class, achieved my certificate there, and then went professional. So this is inspired by the American abstractionist movement. I like to photograph nature in an abstract manner. It's not about making a flower look like a flower. It's not about recording the landscape as I saw it. It's about what's going on in my heart, the movement, the energy, the composition of line, the composition of shading, the composition of light. I like to approach things abstractly. A shot from actually, this was a shot from a Yosemite master class at Angels Falls. This is a shot from my Death Valley class at the Badwater area, which we had the opportunity to go there when there was water, Lake Manly. Um, you know, Learning to focus on the primary point of focus. What is the primary point of focus? Let it stand out, no matter what it may be. Understanding lighting, allowing lighting to become your subject matter in addition to the very thing that you frame. Okay. Learning patience. So if you look at that cloud there, that cloud was not there when I shot that. That cloud was way off frame to the left. And I sat there with the camera photographing it and watched that cloud thinking, anticipating it was going to move exactly where I wanted to be. So I sat there for an hour and a half photographing until that cloud got to that point. This is way before AI, right? So I'm thinking abstractly. Another example, this is a Death Valley shot. In fact, just to share with you, this is also the Death Valley workshop. This is at not just that little town. This is where the opera house is. That's, gosh, why am I forgetting the name of this? I'll remember in a little bit. But this is down at the racetrack. So we drive down the racetrack where the moving rocks are located. And just for reference, I kept the little people way down. It shows you just how expansive this particular piece is. Okay. Um, Again, abstraction, movement, light, shadow, for me, it's all about feeling, not just about the composition. Learning to focus, turn my focus down, and utilizing my post-processing techniques to create this sense of depth from the foreground into the background and back. Okay. Another example, always trying to do something different, always challenging to look at things from a different angle. This is a way earlier piece. This was taken back in the late 80s, I think, in Death Valley, the Mesquite sand dunes, black and white. This is actually one of my favorite pieces. Another example of abstraction, learning to narrow your focus down. So we're going to be talking about this as we start, talking about AI, right? Because it's about style, right? The American abstractionist movement, Pablo Picasso, which is more of a Cubism movement, but the abstraction was about feeling and emotion and spirit, which was very different from the pointillism movement and different from the other movements that represented painting what you saw, the plein air movement. Okay, sand dunes of Death Valley, small, tiny portions of the sand dunes. That's all I care about. Those small little gems. Okay, all right. So let's stop there. I could go further, but I want to stop there. Then I'm going to just share with you what I'm doing now. Okay. So as I got better with Photoshop, I started to play around with a lot of compositing, a lot of digital painting, learning to take dissimilar imagery and pulling it together to help tell a story. So this was the original piece. This was the piece I added the lighting to. So as I moved forward, I started to explore different concepts. Now, this is where I'm getting more into 3D. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because I want you to understand that I'm somebody where I have an experience in a lot of variety of different media, 3D, photography, painting, and I'm trying to pull it all together. And even when I teach my Photoshop class for photographers, I try to get everybody to think more like painters, because our tradition does not come from photography. Our tradition comes from the master painters, the master sculptors. And we need to acknowledge that, and we need to study that. A lot of photographers don't study painters, and they should. These are examples of abstractionist forms that it makes you think. That's what I try to do my work, try to get my work to make you think. And if you look at this, you're probably feeling like, well, gosh, that looks like AI. And none of this is AI. Right? This is stuff I was doing way before AI. This is stuff that's unique to me. So style is very, very important. And to develop style, it means you have to make an effort to try to do something different and allow yourself to make mistakes. Mistakes are critical. Mistakes is the core of your style. It's your mistakes, which eventually becomes happy accidents, is how you start to develop your style. So we need to rethink how we approach creating as creatives. Okay. So again, I'm just having fun. I'm just playing. I'm experimenting. And if you want to be inspired, like a lot of us, we will also have moments in our careers where we just don't know what to do. We just run out of ideas. And that's because we're not getting out of our studios and going to go see other art. Go to the museums, go to the galleries, look at the master's work, look at what other photographers are doing to help inspire you to create differently. Well, the advantage we have today is that we got the internet. We don't have to leave the house to get inspired. We can go online and even look at what a museum has online or a gallery, or look at what a myriad of other artists that you've never seen or heard of before all over the world to help inspire you to develop your own personal style. All right. So I'm using this combination of photography and painting and other medias to create something unique. Okay. All right. So, okay. So from here, let's go further. I was given, I want to start things off because I was given a bunch of questions. And I think these first few questions are very important for us to start off with to kind of define what this thing of AI is. So the first question is, what is AI? Okay. So we've got a variety of, some of you guys are probably using a variety of AI engines. You know what? I probably left open, I probably closed the wrong page. I think I closed the, let me see if I did. Maybe I didn't. Oh, I didn't. Good. There it is. Perfect. Um, there's a variety of AI engines out there. So let's define what AI is. And then let me define how Stephen Burns sees what AI is. You heard me mention before that AI can never create a style. It can replicate a style, but it can never create a style. It's not a living being. AI is simply a series of programming that uses a database to create an outcome. That outcome can be something in text, which we're going to look at that in just a moment, or it can be something that's visual, which is the generative AI, which we visual creatives are using, like DALL-E and Stable Diffusion and yada, yada, yada. Okay. AI is a programming that uses a database. That database is motivated by a prompt. So the prompt is simply a poetic language that you type in to tell AI how to use the visual database, a bunch of images, to create something unique. AI uses what's called a diffusion technique. So in other words, it looks at an image that's in its database, blurs it out, and then rebuilds it back up into pixels again to create a brand new imagery, so to speak. If anybody has questions, I recommend just shout it out and ask me. I like getting the interaction going even while I'm doing the presentation.
So far, we're doing good. I haven't seen anything come up in the chat or any hands come up yet, Stephen.
Okay, well, what was that doing?
I haven't seen any hands come up, and I haven't seen anything pop up into the chat.
Okay.
However, the name of the opera house was the Armagosa Opera
That's right,
House.
Armagosa Opera. Thank you very, very much.
That's a big thanks to Donna Edmond.
Thank you, Donna. I've only been going there for 30 years. It's like a brain fart. It's kind of like, God, what's the name of that place? So yeah, so it's a database engine. The way Stephen Burns sees it is AI is nothing more and nothing less than, for my purposes, as a fancy calculator. It gives you ideas, gives you suggestions. The challenge today is that most artists, well, I'm not going to say artists, I'm going to leave the word artists out of this. Most people use AI as the end result. So the people, you look at the people who are really inspired by AI. They're individuals who don't have photographic backgrounds. They don't have painting backgrounds. They don't have sculpting backgrounds, but they can do really cool things in this program that now produces things that they feel is theirs because they put in a prompt. Now, of course, all this is in the courts now as to whether or not can this be copyrighted. So far at this point, you can't copyright them because those engines are using someone else's artwork to produce what you say is yours. So, of course, we're still trying to figure this mess out. Um, but there's a lot of examples where the courts say no, you can't copyright this stuff. So I'm not going to get into that. I'm not a copyright attorney. I'm just making a point. So for me, AI should be utilized as an idea, guys. So when we don't, if we lose inspiration or lose ideas for how we want to create, we normally get up and go to the galleries. Well, now not only do we have the work of other artists that we can see online, now we've got AI. Now we can go on AI and say, what if I produce something like a fly on a wall with grass and a sunset and put all these words in there as a prompt? What am I going to get? Right? And then the AI is going to put out what it thinks you want. And it may create something that you think is inspiring, and it may not. It just depends on where you're going, what you're using. They all do this. All the AI engines do this. The difference between all the different AI engines, and there are differences, but the main difference is that they're being trained off of different sets of databases. Adobe is training their AI engine, so we are told, by their Adobe stock, right? So Adobe, I think, is one of the more forward companies that's trying to figure out a way to compensate their users for anything that's being used by their AI engine. And of course, they're still figuring that all out as well. Many of us are threatened by it because we feel like our work is being scraped by AI engines without compensation. So again, those are more things that have to be discussed in the court system. All right, so the next question, the second question is, what is Stephen's approach to AI? And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to get into Photoshop and I'm going to play around with this. My approach to AI is to use it like a calculator, use it to inspire you, and then use your skill sets to produce your own thing. Okay. All right. Let's play around with something here. I've got ChatGPT here in front of you. Let's see, that's GitHub. Let's see, where are you? So I know you're here. There you are, right there, ChatGPT. All right, so let me just move this off to another monitor just for a second. And we're going to go play. Let me close out Bridge. I don't think I need that anymore. And I've got Photoshop open. So let me kind of just share. And I like to share this particular approach because um, I'll show you what you can do without having an image in Photoshop with the Photoshop AI. So let's create something. Let's go to our file menu, go to new. And I tell you what, let's see, maybe I'll go to let me see, I've got a photo up here. Let's see, I want like the web, 1920 by 1080 there. We'll keep it kind of small. All right. Okay, so with the new version of Photoshop, you've got access to the AI engine. Where is that done? That's right here. It's called the contextual taskbar, right down here, right below the overall image, the artboard image here. That's your view or your interaction with Adobe's AI engine. So let's do something. Let's go over to ChatGPT and let's tell ChatGPT, um, make give me a prompt. Give me a prompt for mountain ranges with, I'll say, within a watery landscape. So ChatGPT is not an image producing program, it's a text producing program. And if we know that, well, then let's use ChatGPT to produce the prompts for us. We don't have to figure out the prompts. Let it do it for us. It's a calculator. Remember, fancy calculator. That's all it is. We don't have to know math. We can use the calculator to do our math. So give a prompt for mountain ranges with a watery landscape, and I'm going to click and see what it does. We're going to sit back and relax and see what it does. And is it doing anything? Why is it not doing anything? Let's hit enter. Is it because I'm not logged in? Possibly. It should have recognized me right away. An error occurred. Try again. All right. Yeah, something's going wrong. Let's see. This has never happened before. I normally just hit ChatGPT, go there, log in. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if it recognizes my Google account. Okay. Looks like it did. There I am. Oh, what's my birthday? I'm not telling you guys my birthday, so I'm putting it over the monitor. No smart comments either.
I'm only repeating what the AI told me to say.
I can hear you thinking it. Cool. There we go. Let's go. Okay. Try. I'll just shut up and just now continue. Continue. Thank you. All right. So what do we put in there? Mountains. Give me a prompt. Give me a prompt for a mountain scene surrounded, let's see, by watery landscape. Okay, so, all right, so we're going to produce that. There we go. Cool. All right, there we go. So, describe a majestic mountain rising from a serene landscape surrounded by water. The scene should include elements such as lush greenery on the mountain slopes, a crystal clear lake on a river encircling the base, and perhaps a reflection of the mountain in the water. Consider the time of day and weather and add mood such as sunrise casting, warm glow, or mist hovering over the water, creating a mystical atmosphere. Kind of cool, huh? All right, let's take that. Copy it. Control C. Let's move this out of the way. And let's go over here to the contextual taskbar. Here, we select our subject. Can't, oh, you know why it can't find a subject? It needs a selection. The key to mastering Photoshop is mastering selections. Selections and masks are exactly the same thing, and it will always be the case as it is here. So I will hit Control A to make a selection everywhere. Generative AI, there we go. Now it works. Select it and hit Control V. There's my prompt is in there. Now we're going to generate. And there we go.
That would have taken 3 hours just to rekey it without making any spelling errors.
Exactly. Ooh, look at what we have. Look at what we have. All right, that's now Adobe gives you 3 versions. Okay, so I'll click this one. Oh, that's nice. And I'll click that one. That's nice. All right, if I want to see more, I can just hit generate again. It's all in Photoshop. And if you notice, if you look at that layer, you notice a little symbol in the bottom right hand corner of that layer, which represents that's a generative AI layer. Okay, I'm gonna take a cough drop while I'm talking, so my mouth stays watery. So we can do it again. So I'm going to hit generate again. And see what we get. All right, there we go. We got another one. Now it's very colorful. There's another example there. In fact, here, let's zoom in a little close and take a look at this. Okay, this is AI in Photoshop. The advantage of AI in Photoshop is that it's all in our program of choice for editing. We don't have to go to DALL-E, produce something in DALL-E, save it out, and then have to import it into Photoshop. It's already done. It's right here for us, which is kind of nice. Okay, let's do one more. One more generate, just for giggles. Ah, that's kind of nice. Example there, another one here. That's kind of nice, and another one here. All right, so you just learned that we can produce AI utilizing ChatGPT. Now, if I went into ChatGPT and said, and add birds or sea snake or whatever, it's going to produce something completely different. All right, now from a photographer's point of view, let's see what we can do with generative AI. Let's go back to Bridge, Control Shift O. That brings Bridge back. And let me go to my PPOC folder. And I've got a variety of different images I've shot over the years, just some simple snapshot stuff to show you that we can do more with this. All right, here's a quick little snapshot I took when I was going to Comic-Con, and I was parking on top of the parking structure and decided to take a shot of this. You can see the San Diego ballpark right back here in the background. Let's open that up in Photoshop. So hit Enter key. And I don't know, what more can we do with this? Well, we can explore something. One thing I'm going to explore is I'm going to duplicate that layer, Command J. I think I want to have the flexibility of putting my own sky in here. So I'm going to come over here to my toolbar, to my selection tools. The key to mastering Photoshop is mastering selections. Selections and masks are exactly the same thing. So if I go to my objects, not object selection tool, I think I'll do just a quick selection tool just to select the sky area in here. And I'm going to just go grab all that right there. If I get in close, you can see that the tool did a fairly decent job. I suppose I can come through here and grab the rest of this here. And then I spilled over up in here. So I'll hold the Alt or Option key down to take away the spill. And once again, I'm using second tool down the right hand side of this. If it's a 2-layer toolbar, I'm using the Quick Selection tool. Okay, so I'm going to just stop there. It's not perfect, but we don't care. I'm going to inverse the selection. Command Shift I is the shortcut. See the contextual taskbar? It sees that selection, so it wants to do something, but I don't want it to do anything just yet. Go to this layer and hit Command J, and let's turn off the other 2 layers beneath it. Okay, so I've got my building on a transparent layer because I want to have flexibility of putting in any sky that I want. Okay, now let's do one other little thing. Let's go ahead and just brighten this up just a little bit. I'm gonna hit the Command M, all right, or Image Adjustment Curves. Pull it over to the side a little bit and just brighten it up just like so. Okay, it's a little bit dark, so give it a little bit of brightness. All right, I suppose I'll keep it the way it is. And what I'm going to do is I need to expand this out. I want to do something different. I don't know what I want to do with it. I just know I want to do something different. So hit the C key for the crop tool. And let's go over here and just pull it on out like this. Let's go over here and pull it on up like this. Do I know what I want to do? No. But this is going to be part of your mind being flexible. Okay. And with this pulled out, I'm going to come over here to my Quick Selection tool, come right up here and say Select Subject. Didn't do a very good job at selecting the subject. That's ridiculous. Let's do the sure way to select subjects on your transparent layer. Hold the Control key down and click on the icon here, and boom, automatically makes the selection definitive to your object. What I want to do is I want to put something around this. I don't know what, but we're going to let Photoshop suggest it. And I'm going to hit Command Shift I to select everything opposite of the building. And I think it would be wise to actually let the selections cut into the buildings just a little bit so that Photoshop can see what it needs to kind of honor here. So I'll go to my select menu. Why? Because we're going to modify a selection. Modify. And we're going to expand it. Let's expand it, I think, about 8 pixels. Instead of 1, it says 1 by default. I'm going to go to 8 and we click OK. And it crops in a little bit. I probably need to crop in more. But here, I'm going to give this a try and see what it does. But the key to mastering Photoshop is mastering selection. So now that we have the selection shape here, all around it, select it in marching ants, now Photoshop knows what to honor in terms of creating. So we'll come down to generative fill, and this time we're going to hit the generative fill, and this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to put nothing in it. Absolutely nothing at all. I'm going to let Photoshop look at this and figure out what it could do. We click generate, and we sit back and relax, and we get to see what happens. This is the exciting part. This is better than waiting for the image come up in developer. Ooh, okay. So Photoshop did something interesting. And what's interesting is that it placed the generative fill layer on a separate layer right above your image. So if I turn that off and on, you have your original, and it's utilized the original to produce something different. Now, it didn't just do one, it's done three, right? So I've got one here, and I've got another one here. Okay, so I don't know. Let's generate it again. Let's do another generate, see what we get. So I can determine what it is I want to keep and what I want to discard. All right, so it did it again. I've got this one here. I've got this one here. Neither of these three I'm not too crazy about. I do think we can do something with this one. So let's do something similar. And let's go and go back to my quick selection tool, and let's see how well it does if I hit select subject. And I need to make sure that I'm going to sample all layers, right? Because remember, this is all in its own layer. So I want to sample all layers. So I'm going to go select sample all layers. And let's see if we do a select subject, if it was going to honor all the buildings in here. Okay, so it saw that one. Okay, pretty good. But I still have the other one on its own layer down here. So it selected the building I wanted. It did a good job, but it didn't do the other building. Well, the other building is on its own layer. If I hit Control click on here, means create a selection from that layer sitting on the transparent background. But if I hit Control Shift and click, it adds it to my selection. Now I can tell Photoshop to utilize everything outside. Now, before I do so, let me save that selection just so I don't lose it. Select and save selection. Okay, so what that does is it saves the selection as a alpha channel right there. The key to mastering Photoshop is mastering selections. Selections, masks, and channels are all one and the same thing. Okay. I'm going to go back. Let's get out of here, go back to my RGB composite, and we're going to extend this up a little bit. I'm going to go to the crop tool. Oh, it's only cropping a selection. I got to escape from that. Hit Control D. There we go. And I'm going to expand this out some more. This time I'm going to expand it out this way just to see what it does. Okay. We'll go that much. We'll go a little bit more, a little bit out, and hit enter. All right, now we'll go back and get our selection. The key to mastering Photoshop is mastering selections. Masks and selections are the same thing. And if that's true, I should be able to make a selection from this mask. The shortcut is Control click on the mask. And there it is. There's my selection. If I go back to the RGB composite, I can take this inverse of selection. Shortcut is Control Shift I. Now everything else is selected around it. Now generate, we're not going to put anything in the prompt at all, and we're going to click generate. See what it does. On Saturday, we're going to get much deeper into this stuff, but this is some basic approaches. There we go. Look at that. So now you've got, if you wanted to play around with adding to your photograph, go to a second example, kind of like in the clouds in that one. Go to a third example. It's kind of interesting. Let's generate again. All right. and it's getting ready to produce its results down here. It's thinking. There we go. So we got another set there. All right. So I'm bored of these buildings. I want to do something a little more exciting. Let's we're gonna let that stay, and we're gonna do something a little bit different, and we're gonna utilize our painting skill sets, and we're gonna utilize now AI to help us produce something different. So let's go to my file menu. I'm gonna go to new, and how about if I 1920 by 1080? Let's do 1080 by 1920. Let's kind of switch it. No, I tell you, we'll do 1920 by 1920. We'll make a little square. There we go. All right, go back to my layers. Um, and what we're going to do next, and I'm thinking, should we do a 5 minute break at this point? Then I'll come back and do the painting stuff. And Dwayne, you're speaking, but your
Bef-
mic.
Before we start this next part of the demo, let's take a five
Oh, I'm
minute
not
P and
hearing
T
me
break.
yet. Okay, now go ahead and say that again.
So we're right at 1 hour, so let's go ahead and take a
All
five,
right,
6 minute P and T break,
got it.
and then we'll get started with the next half of this evening.
All right, let's go ahead. I'm gonna get a 5 minute timer. Okay. I'm gonna go find a 5 minute timer. That way everybody knows. There we go. And maximize it. Let's pause it and then go to the beginning. Okay. So we'll start it now.
I am going to drop a link in the window.
Okay.
We have room on Saturday's class still available.
Excellent.
And for those that are not familiar with the area, the class is going to be held in Santa Ana, California, the heart of Orange County.
It's a good location.
Totally unrelated fact, we happen to be in the oldest building in all of Orange County. Our building is over 110 years old. For California, that's flat out amazing.
All right. Should I say play on the timer?
Go ahead and hit play.
All right, cool. All right, 5 minutes. We'll come back at five and
And I'm also going to add a promo code for any of Steven's friends that will get you $50 off of the class and a 1 year membership.
cool. All right, so pause playing. Okay, very good. We'll come back. Mhm. So annoying.
So Ivan, yes, bring a laptop or whatever computing device you wish to bring in. The workshop will begin at 10 a.m. We will open the doors at 9 a.m. so you can get your computer set up, and we'll have a desk set up for everybody to make sure that you have a comfortable workspace.
And we will have, and I'm assuming we're going to have internet access
We will have internet access.
because you
It will
will
be
need
somewhere
that.
between snail's pace and decent molasses.
Okay. All right. There is a program. Let me see if I should still have it up here in my little chat box. There is a program that I wanted to share with you because one of the questions on the list was, what about the ethics of this all? And we can talk more about that on Saturday. And let me find I think it was this one here. It is, okay. Pull this on over to here. All right. There is a program, and I'm hoping it's a stability program. It's stable diffusion program that you install on your system. Okay. So Stability AI is an open source AI engine. So it's free, and it's very, very good. Stability AI here. The one that I wanted to show you, and I'm going to have to go over to Discord to get the link real quick, which I've got right here. Okay. So it is called, it is called N as in Nancy, M as in man, K as in kid, D as in dog, NMKD. All right. So I'm going to just search that real quick. It's basically it's a stable diffusion GUI that sits on your computer and allows you to choose what images that it's going to train on. So this kind of directly addresses the issue with the copyright. NMKD. Now there is a couple of places. The best place to get it is called GitHub. I'm going to go there now. There it is. I'm going to take the direct link and put it into the chat box. And there's my chat box there. NMKD. All right. This program will take up about 7 gigabytes of space. And when you download it, go right here where it says code, drop it down, and download the zip file and unzip it.
Stephen, you just said something that just hit me upside the head with a baseball bat, so I kind of want to repeat what I heard to make sure I heard what I think I may have actually heard.
Okay.
So this utility will look at a vault collection of images that we direct it to.
That's correct.
So as a professional photographer, if I am specializing, say, in automotive or architectural or portraiture, I can tell it to look at my bank of images, and it will begin to learn and mimic my styles or overall preferences, or am I asking a question that's already gone too deep?
But basically, that's correct. So here's, I was hoping to share that with everybody today, but I'm gonna wait to share it on Saturday because let me see, where is it up here? Because it takes a day and a half to install. And what it does is the one that I'm telling it to install includes all the training data. And I do that just so that I can experiment with it. However, I can tell it not to use its own internal training data. And the training data is all those millions of images it's going to, install in the program so it can use, so when you put in a prompt, it's going to create something. But I can also tell it not to use those, but instead go somewhere to use a certain set of database of images to create from the prompt that I give it. So it can do either or.
So that brings up another question that I kind of want to toss out to you.
Okay.
New technology. I can guarantee that half of this room knows the letters AI,
Yeah.
has very little experience in learning AI. How do you go about learning this? How do you go about figuring out what it can do?
Well, it's pretty much you go and you play. It's like everybody else. I mean, this is all brand new for everybody. It hit us from the broadside so quickly. So pretty much young people go in there and they start putting in prompts. It's that easy. I mean, it's easy and it's not easy. We can get deeper. We'll do that on Saturday. We can get deeper into the prompting, and there's special code words you can use that will give you some outstanding results. But it's almost as if you have to be a poet, so to speak. A poet with technological savviness behind it. And the program doesn't always give you what you want. And that's where a lot of the experimentation is just critical. So some companies are currently hiring what we call prompt masters now, or prompters, they would call them. And they're paying people for that. So if you personally, I mean, again, if ethics, for me, one way around ethics is two ways around ethics. One is train off your own database of images. Have it use your own database image to do all this training. Then all those copyrights of those images belong to you, and the production is nothing more, nothing less than a fancy form of compositing done with your copyrighted work. So you can say this is yours. The other way is to use the AI engine, which is what I recommend, to use the AI engine to create something that inspires you to create in a certain direction, which means you've got the skill sets to pull it all together, look at what AI did and say, oh, I liked it, it's cool, let me do something very similar or close, utilizing my own skill sets. Now starts to become your copyright now. You don't have AI in your work, you have AI that inspired your work. Most people, like I mentioned in the very beginning, is using AI as the final product. And of course, that final product is a result of other artists and photographers or sculptors where the AI scrapes the images to create something that's an amalgamation of. Does that make sense?
It does, and that kind of leads into a question that Mike Sorensen has. Mike, why don't you go ahead and unmute your microphone and ask the question directly?
We're waiting for Mike to
There, I
speak.
found my unmute button.
Okay, got
So,
it. Mike.
so if I've installed this tool on my computer and let's say I like to take a lot of pictures of horses. And
Sure.
so I've got 1,000 pictures of horses and
Yeah.
I, I I train this with all of my pictures of horses. How
Right.
do I tell it that's a horse?
How do you tell it that's a horse?
Yeah.
Well, you kind of don't. It looks at your images, kind of knows. I mean, the people who program this stuff are way smarter than us. The engine is designed to recognize when something's a mountain or something's a water or something's a bird or something's I mean, you're not programming.
Okay. So
Your question almost comes from the standpoint that how do I tell it to program it to recognize it? Oh, you don't do that. It already knows.
it already knows some mapping between shapes and
Yeah.
language.
Yeah, it already knows this stuff.
It,
Remember, it's using your prompts, right? Well, your prompts is telling the program what to do. Well, how does it know what to
okay.
do? Well, those images that's programmed in its training data, which is basically other images, they probably have keywords all in there of some sort.
Okay.
I'm not a programmer. I'm just kind of like,
So you're saying NMKD already knows what a horse is.
well,
And so if I show them a bunch of horses, it's just going to say, okay, that's the kind of horse I want.
you're gonna have to experiment and find out for yourself.
Okay. All right.
I can't definitively answer that question for you because I've never used it on horses.
We are literally on the skin-splitting edge of bleeding technology.
Yeah, and it's getting better and it's getting faster. Remember, when you tell it to create two humans hugging, and all of a sudden one hand's got 6 fingers. Remember, all that problem. Well, how does AI know when not to give it 6 fingers and 5 or 4 or whatever? It's getting better and better. They're programming it so that this stuff it becomes flawless. So yeah, there are mistakes. There's going to be mistakes, but you'll learn how to circumvent those mistakes. And then in the process, the coding will get better. All right, so let's answer your question this way. Let's actually go tell AI to give me a mountain range. Well, how does it know it's a mountain range? I don't know. I don't care. Just as long as it gives me a mountain range. Okay. So if I come here, let me go. There's my contextual taskbar, and I'm going to create something using compositing techniques. So generative. Let's see. What's a generative expand? What am I doing here? Let's get out of here. Let's go select. So select all, generative fill. Okay, I'm going to give this a prompt. We're going to call it mountain range. Just something really simple. And I'm going to generate it. And I'm just going to play. We're just going to play. Okay. Cool. Cool. It's kind of cool. I don't know. I might utilize that. I don't know. Let me go generate it again. This is a good way to kind of practice using your Oh, I like this. Okay, I like this. Okay, let's pull this down here and we'll pull this up. This is the properties panel. I always like it attached to the bottom as the layers, channels, paths. And if we take a look at that, I like that. I do like this. I do. Yeah, I like this and I like this. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this here and I think I'm going to composite the bottom to it. Okay, so using AI imagery. And this is a good exercise for you guys to kind of get into to stretch your imagination a little bit. So let's duplicate this layer. So I'm going to take the AI layer. I will duplicate it with a Command or Control J. Okay. I'm going to pull this down a little bit more. I will now, I need more space in the bottom. So hit the C key. All right, go away. Hit the C key for the crop tool. All right, there we go. And I'm going to pull this down a little bit and hit enter. Okay, so let me get out. Let me go to my V key. That's showing to get out of here. Escape it. I'm trying to see what's going on here. Why to go switch tools? There we go. Thank you very much. It was being stubborn with me. I was using a shortcut to go to another tool and didn't want to do it. All right. Now I'm going to go to the other. I'm going to go to this top AI. So I'm going to turn that off, turn it on. We're just duplicating a layer. Now I'm going to go switch. I'm going to go to this one here. So the top one is going to represent the V key for the moving. The top one is going to represent the bottom section here. Let me see what just happened. Let me undo that there. Command 0. Okay. So there's my top one. And what I'm going to have to do is this. Let me undo that real fast. Okay, so there we go. There is, I want to go to the top one, go to this one there. And what I need to do is this. Let me go undo that again. I'm going to do it a couple of times here. There's my top. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Now go to the second one, which is there. That's what I'm looking for there. I'm going to take this one, right click. I'm going to go to the right hand side. Whoops. There we go. Open that up there. Let's pull this on over to the right a little bit. I'm going to right click this here, and I'm going to alter that to a smart object like that. So it merges all that AI content down. If I ever want to go back inside, I can double click it to go back inside and play with the AI content. I don't want to do that right now. So I'm going to go Command W to close it up. So there it is. So there is, now I can move that around, and this becomes the bottom portion of my photograph. Okay. I might go ahead and hit Command T to make it a little larger like that, probably something like this, and let's go play. So I'm going to give this a black filled mask. Alt key while I'm clicking the layer mask. So the layer mask is going to allow you to decide how to show, what to show, and what not to show. So if I go down to the third icon from the left, hold down the Alt key and click the mask, it gives me a black mask that's filled. By default, it's normally a white mask. So white reveals, white shows the content, and black completely blocks it out. So what I want to do is show some of that new mountain in the bottom. I'm going to pull this on up, kind of zoom in, Control 0. There we go. I'm going to go to the mask. I'm going to edit the mask, and I'm going to hit the B key for the brush. I'm using a Wacom pen, all right? So I've got pressure sensitivity turned on. So if I resize it like so, the top button allows me to resize my brush. If I scroll down, it goes to hard. If I scroll up, it goes to soft. And I'll show you guys. So make sure you bring your Wacom tablets with you. If anybody has a Wacom tablet or any type of a stylus and tablet, like a SenseLab or Wacom or something along those lines, bring that with you on Saturday. Okay, so I'm going to keep a soft edge brush right about here, and I'm going to use white. White is my foreground color. And I'm going to ensure that the mask is selected. I want to paint the mask in. So if I gently start to brush this in, I'm brushing in other landscape details, like so. And I'm just gently pressing in to allow this to blend the way that I want it. Okay, there we go. So now we've got another little piece here. Now, what I want to do is I want to do something a little different. Let's go and hit the C key again for the crop tool. Go right about there. There's my crop tool. And I'm going to expand it out. You know what? Let's do this instead. Let me hit escape key. I'm going to go back up. Let's do this instead. I've got another idea. Let's just pull this out like so to here. Let's see what it gives us in terms of more mountain landscape. Hit the enter key. And let's go give it the selection tool because the key to mastering Photoshop is mastering selections. I'm going to crop into the image a little bit more like that. And we're going to go way in. Okay. Now, generative fill, don't put anything in there and hit generate. Let's see what it does for us. Sit back, and this is where you're just patient and say, ooh, I liking this. Oh, I got another version. I've got number 2. Ooh, I like that one even better. And I've got 3. Oh, that's kind of nice too. Okay. And you guys can chime in and chat with me if you want. If you want me to do like another prompt or something, you're welcome to kind of shout it out. So I've got one here, one there, and that one's okay. I don't like this one very much. It's the way it's kind of integrated down here in the bottom. That one integrates really well. And now I'm thinking, yeah, let's go with this one here. Let's do this one here. All right, now what I want to do is I want a valley. I want a valley floor. Okay. So let's hit the C key on the keyboard for the crop tool. Pull this out of the way a little bit. Let's pull this on down like so. How much down do I go? I don't know. I'm just playing. I'm just experimenting. Then I will now go to my selection tool, rectangular selection tool, and we're going to grab a large part of the top and this down here. Now, instead of hitting generative fill and putting nothing in it, we're going to put down here valley floor with rivers. We're going to be doing a lot of experimenting on Saturday. We're going to work together. And I'm going to hit generate. And we're going to sit back and relax.
So, Stephen, while this is generating, Jim has a question that we'll need to go back to the earlier example on when it's convenient.
All right, yeah, let's go and ask the question now.
Jim, you want to come on and ask the question directly?
Hi, Stephen. In the example of your building shot where you're outside and you have the building, is it possible for AI to change the lighting on and in the buildings? So go from early morning to midday to dusk.
You introduce that in the prompt, yes.
Okay.
So if I take this building, let's say, I don't know, let's see what it does. Let's see, if we go back here, let's go, let's see, what did I do with the buildings? Going back, I started down here, didn't I? Let's turn these off up here. That's what I started off with. And if I hit Command click to select it, and then Command Shift I, and we do something. What did you suggest? Like early morning sunset. So if I hit
Early morning sunrise, maybe.
early morning sunrise. Okay, early morning sunrise. So we'll do something like what is it? Skyscraper, or what should we call it? We should do skies. Let's see, skyscraper.
You could just say modern city line
Yeah.
with in morning sky or something.
There you
All
go.
right, modern city.
Skyline, yeah.
modern city skyline. That's good. Okay. With
Early morning sky or sunset
early
sky?
mornings, early morning sunrise.
There you go. Question is, will it affect the buildings?
Early morning sunrise on all buildings. All right, let's see what it does. And click generate.
And if it works, we never have to go on vacation again.
It's taking its own sweet little time. See what, ooh. Okay. Interesting. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. All right, let's do another generate, see what happens. It's always worth doing one more generate. It is so convenient being able to do this inside of Photoshop. There we go. See, so what it's doing, we're going to have to put in something additional in that prompt. Here's the prompt. Now you notice the prompt is still there. So let me grab this. Yeah, this is the one that's closest because you can see some of the orange glow in the building. You got a little bit of orange glow, just a little bit coming across here. Maybe what we need to do is modern early morning sunrise.
Stephen,
Yes.
try sunlight through buildings.
Or maybe across buildings.
Yeah, across buildings.
Across buildings. Okay, let's do that. So modern city skyline with early morning sunrise across all buildings. Let me spell across right. It's an accident. Okay. Generate. See what it does. And it's thinking. Okay, so that's the first one. That's the second one. So with sunrise, yeah, so far it's putting the sunrise behind it. It's having problems using adjectives to actually change the color of the buildings. That might require Photoshop skill set. So let me change it again. Let's go sunrise on front. So sunrise on front of all buildings. We just want to make sure we exhaust all of our options here. So sunrise on front of all buildings. See what it does. It's trying. Perspective is off on this one. It's thinking. Okay, it's struggling. We go to a second one. Yeah, it's struggling. It's struggling with this one. It doesn't want to put the sunlighting on front. It doesn't want to change the color of the buildings. It wants to put in content. It wants to use nouns instead of adjectives.
Another question that may be partially related. Could you change out just the sky if you run across a set or an expansion where you actually like the buildings themselves
Yeah.
but don't like the lighting?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Um, and that's a question where your skill sets come in, because you can easily just take your quick selection tool and select it like this. All right. And then let's go ahead and inverse the selection, and then Command Shift C, which means copy all visible, and then Command V for paste, and there's your buildings on their own layer,
Okay.
right? And then you can go to a prompt and say,
Provide a 10 a.m. sky or a 7 p.m. sky.
all right, we'll say 7 p.m. sky. And let's go. I'm going to make a new layer and hit Command A. So I want to select everything. So create 7 p.m. Let's see, PD time, sky, just something simple. Tell it the actual time zone that we're in. Let's see what it does. There we go. We got them. 1, 2, 3, and then we'll go back to the first one, and we simply reposition our layer right there. And of course, you can go to your move tool and move it up however you want it. All right. So this is the part where, and this is what we're going to be going over Saturday, and how not to totally rely on AI, but how to use your skill sets and let AI assist you. All right. If I change this, I can go and change it now, because I'm going to go back and move it down and get rid of that tree. Right. Or if I go to the other one here and select it and maybe pull that one back up to get some of that nice little orange glow, and then a little moon up there. So it takes a lot of just experimenting and playing around and just having fun with the damn thing. Just having fun with the damn thing. Now, if we go back to the other, this is not working very well at all. I thought I told it to give it a valley floor, but I think it saw floor. Maybe what I need to do is to keep floor out of there. So it put a floor in here. It gave me a valley and it gave me a floor, which is not what I want. So let's do it again. So sometimes I'll just delete the layer. And I'll come here. Let's give it, let's do this. Let's do waterscape. Okay. We're going to put in a waterscape with reflection. Waterscape with reflection. I've only done this a million times, and I've always gotten good results. So this one's better work. Or I'm going to be mad at the AI. See what we get. So it's reproducing it. Okay. Okay, I see what's going on. I see what's going on. Let me undo this one. Okay. Let me do. So we need to do this. Sorry, my fault. Key to mastering Photoshop is mastering selection. So I'm going to go grab that right down there at the bottom and tell it to give me a waterscape. Waterscape with reflections. Let's hit enter, see what it does. If this doesn't work, I've got another idea in mind. It worked. Okay. I got several different types of reflections. Let's kind of get in close. You can see what's going on here. It gave me a little bit of a landscape with the sun shining on it and the rest in the shade, and then created the reflection. Let's see what else we've got. We got that. Oh, that was nice. Okay. Yeah, I'm liking that one there. We've got Let's see what this one looks like. Nah, that's kind of cool too. Let's do another generation, generate another three. So this is like normally if you're going to do composites, you would go to your database of images and you'll bring them in to find out what you want to work with and you'll composite them. So this is a faster way of compositing. The only disadvantage is that these are not really your images, are they? They're basically going into Adobe stock and finding something and regenerating it using the diffusion technique. So I got three more here. Got 1, 2, I don't like that one at all. And 3, I do not like that one at all. So that's actually the best one, in my opinion. Is that kind of making sense so far? Let's see what else we can do. We can do waterscape with reflections and birds. Or better yet, let's do waterscape reflections. Waterscape and reflections. Hey, I've got another idea. Let's try this. Let's try this. This will be cool. Let's grab this. Oh, no. Let me finish something else instead. Hit the C key, go to the crop tool. Okay. Let's pull this on up to here. Let's see how it does. Let's pull this on out to here. Okay. Go to my selection tool. Let's go that much inside. That's all the areas I wanted to consider. Hold the shift key. Go grab all. All right. What just happened? What just happened? Let me pull that back on up. Okay. Pull that this way and undo. There we go. And let's do a shift is what I wanted to do and grab all this. Okay. Let's see what it does. We're going to give it nothing just to see what it does. It's really fascinating. It's kind of fun watching this. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's great. All right. So let's zoom in close. Not bad. I'm going to want to change that top there. Let me see what this gives me. Okay. That's not my favorite. I see what the program's trying to do, but that doesn't really match over here on the left-hand side. If we go to the third one, okay, that one's not bad. What if I give it let's select the top and let's select the bottom. And let's give this one angry stormy clouds. In sky and reflection. Do I know this is going to work? I have no idea if this is going to work, but that's all part of this process, just exploring. All right, let me kind of zoom in close so everybody can see this. And we're going to hit generate. See what it does. So this whole idea of being able to select portions. And then I'll show you very quickly. See what it does. Interesting. Not bad. That's not bad at all. All right, let's see the second version. A little bit too stark. That's way too obvious. See what the next one looks like. That's also too obvious. Probably the first one's the best. You can modify that with some of the your tools in Photoshop. We'll get more into that on Saturday's class. Okay, let's look at something else. Let's stop playing with these images. I'm gonna shut everything down. Let's go get something I photographed. Okay, and let's go to Bridge. What do we got here? Let's take something. Let's see what we've got here. What I might want to do. I think what I'm going to want to do is I want to use. I'm going to use this one. Okay. I'm just kind of making this up as I go. I'm going to go to Open. Okay. And let me go back to Bridge and let's go get a foreground image. I really like this water here. I like the way the ripples is leading your eye into the scene. So I will open that one up. Click Open. Okay. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and composite these two. So hit my V key for the move tool. That's the only tool that allows you to move things around. I love the splashing going on here, but I really like the way the waves are leading your eye into the scene. So I'm going to hold my Shift key and drag it on over so they overlap one another. Okay, now I'm going to start with a little bit of my own little composite, and then I'm going to use AI. And if I want to, I can bring down the opacity a little bit and kind of see how things are lined up. Looks like it's lined up pretty good. All right, so I'll use my standard compositing techniques. We're going to give this one a layer mask. I'm going to give it a B key for the brush. We're going to get more into the walk-in brushes in the class. So those who was kind of stylists, bring your stylists once again. I'll show you some custom brushes that we can make that's going to make your life a lot easier. I want this, but I want that for the foreground. So I will inverse the mask. White reveals, black conceals. So I'm going to hit the Command I to get rid of it. Then I'm going to use my brush to start to paint in those effects. Okay, gently paint them in. And this is important because as photographers, you're kind of taught to make these perfect, pristine selections. But the way I'm going to teach you in the class is to think and act like a painter so that you can paint in whatever it is you want gently just to see how it looks. And if I get to here, I'm adding some other additional details which I may not want. I may want them here. That kind of works there, right? That works nicely there. Not so much over here. X key on the keyboard switches my foreground and background color, and I take it away from here. I think I'll just keep it like this. Hit the X key again and bring a little bit of that back there. Okay, so now I've got my foreground. Let me see if I bring a little bit more of this over to here to the side. Yeah, that blends quite nicely. Okay, so now I'm starting to create my own, take on what was happening there. So I got a nice little leading line in here. I'll use other tonal values, which we'll get more into that when we get into the class to really get this to pop out more dimensionally. But I'm thinking what I want to do is I want to get a little bit of a bigger sky. So hit the C key for the crop tool. We're going to expand that sky up a little bit. And let's go ahead and select it. So I'm going to stay away from the top of that wave. I'm going to get right above the top. But that's more than enough information for the program to see. Bring that again. Let's bring this down again. All right, so from here, I could put a prompt in here, but I may do better just putting nothing in there. And you just have to kind of work it out for yourself. Kind of try a prompt, see if it works. And sometimes telling it to add something, sometimes it adds too much. Sometimes just saying give it nothing will help. Remember, all this is happening on layers, right? So it's all non-destructive workflow. So don't stress. We don't stress. That's the motto in all of my 5-week Photoshop classes. No stressing because Steve is here. What I'm going to do, what I'm thinking about it, is I'm going to give you a direct link. Let me kind of show you this real fast. Let me bring this back over here. Now, if you're interested, you think that you're going to have value from this, I do a 5-week Photoshop class. Now, for those of you who don't know a whole lot about Photoshop, the beginning class starts up in November. Those of you who have experience in Photoshop, you feel you got the basics down, the intermediate class with the Wacom tablet starts in September 5th. That's coming up right after August here. I'm giving you guys 15% off on all the classes. So just use the, I'm going to put this link right now into the chat box. I want to make sure I do this because I'll forget. There you go. And then you're going to use code. I'm going to put that in the chat box too. PPOC 2024. And that's going to give you the discount on the classes. These are 5-week workshops. 1 day a week, every Thursday, 7 to 9 in the evening. Every class is recorded. You get the recording after each class ends to help you with your homework. So these are immersive classes that's going to give you a great skill set in understanding how and why what you do in Photoshop. So we're just about we're there. This is 10 minutes left, and this is questions and answers time.
I would suggest that anybody who's got a question, turn on your mic and let's go live and turn this into an open chat. And while questions are coming in, Stephen,
Yes?
now that AI is here,
Yeah.
what do you think is going to be the next thing to follow AI? There's always something on the horizon or just getting ready to launch. What do you think that may be?
I think AI is going to it's going to be perfected to the point where it's going to be very photorealistic. We're going to have video. We're going to have animation. We're going to have AI animation. We're going to have, which is already happening. We're going to have making movies with AI. We're going to have 3D, creating 3D objects with AI. Again, that's also already happening. I think all of our creative mediums that we know as human beings will now be affected by AI.
I think it's going to change the entire Marvel and DC worlds quite a bit.
Well, the Marvel and DC world are using it, which is why they're under strike, right? That's what the strike was about. See, they're business people. They saw AI and they said, "Ooh, we can save money," right? So the union says, "Not so fast." So they went on strike, and that was one of the main things: is what happens when we introduce AI in here? How are the artists going to be compensated for this? So, and they're still discussing that right now.
Well, those discussions go on. I see that David Good has opened up his microphone. So, David, do you have a question for us?
I've been following the AI progress, and there's a couple of points that should be brought up. In my opinion, this is the equivalent of the first industrial revolution. In 20 years, it's going to change everything. That being said, if they run the available graphic cards at full steam that use AI, you'll need a dozen or more nuclear power plants to power just the cards. We won't be able to generate enough power to handle it.
That is an amazing thought, thinking about how much energy that the processors are going to need.
But I can see a point at which AI will be telling machines how to build houses. So the construction industry is gonna get radically changed. Already CNN fired 100 workers and is replacing them with AI generated stories. And we're just getting started.
And then let alone the fact that AI is going to start running, electric cars where we can get rid of all the employees for Uber and Lyft. All right. So I mean, trust me, those companies are already got their eyes on this.
If I had children right now, I would be pushing them into learning AI and incorporating it in with a job, because every job in the future will have something to do with AI.
I think we're at a point, these are all things that are very possible. They could become very real. And we're also at a point that, as Stephen was mentioning with the entertainment industry, we're also needing to figure out where rules, laws, ethics are either going to be self-developed or developed through different governments to maintain a balance, as has been done so many other times in the past. But I kind of want to hold that discussion at this point, since we've got about 6 minutes left and we're talking about a subject that'll take another 8 hours.
There's one interesting copyright case from a few years ago, pre-AI, at which a photographer's camera was stolen by a monkey, and the monkey took a selfie, and it went through the courts, and the U.S. copyright basically says only humans can copyright images and things.
Correct, and that has been recently backed with a number of other cases that have also featured AI, based on both derivative work as well as the fact that AI is not a human
Right,
human entity.
but there's still a long ways to go.
With that, I am making a last call for any final questions. There are about 4 spots available left for Saturday. It is a PPA merited workshop. So just by attending, it will get you 1 credit closer to earning your your craftsman degree or master's degree for those of us that are in the PPA world. We look forward to seeing you. And with that, I want to thank Stephen for spending his night with us. Actually, Lourdes, you do this to me every time. Very last second, your hand goes up. So come online and ask your question.
We don't hear you. Unmute your mic.
I see your hand up, Lourdes.
I'm seeing a very well done in the chat. Thank you so much. Is she on or?
I don't see her responding. So with that, Stephen, I want to thank you for spending your night with us. This was fascinating, and I can't wait to hang out on Saturday.
Absolutely. All right, this is great. Thank you all for being here. It's an honor to be here to be a speaker for you. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Going to learn a lot.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And with that, I'm going to close the meeting off. Thank you all for spending your evening with us, and we look forward to seeing you at our next meeting.
Pleasure seeing you, Stephen.
Thank you. You want.